Much more on the French election. We are joined by Pieter Cleppe, head of the Brussels office of the Europe Bank, the Open Bank, and an independent think tank. Welcome to our broadcast. Emmanuel Macron has filed this lawsuit over whether false news is being used to influence voting in the presidential election. Will this actually resonate with voters?
I don't really think so. Try to accuse Macron of having some kind of a secret bank account. I think it was in the Bahamas, and then she sort of suggested it. She didn't really claim it was the case, and then some of her supporters tried to make this a thing on social media. I don't have the impression this has really caught on. In general, in the last 2 weeks, opinion polls have remained pretty steady. There's been a 20 percentage point gap between Macron and Le Pen, 60 versus 40. Obviously, I suppose the polls can't be that wrong. If you also look at the absolute number of people that Le Pen has to convince in order to win, this is quite massive. Macron did pretty okay in the TV debates. This week he hasn't made any major mistakes. So I would say this is in the pocket for Macron, but of course, you never know.
You've got a significant amount of undecided voters. What is on their minds?
Well, a lot of people are indeed not sure. I mean, this is typical when you have a runoff, then obviously many people have to vote for someone that they think is the second best. That's why some people believe that Le Pen still has a chance, because a lot of voters may just not show up. Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the far-left candidate, he hasn't endorsed any of the candidates. There is a movement calling for people to stay home and not voting for any of the two candidates. I'm not sure if this is going to have a major effect. It looks like, when people don't vote, they don't have an influence, right? And it looks like, therefore, the people who do vote, these people, it's a pretty safe majority for Macron, at least if we can believe the opinion polls. But, the opinion polls, they weren't that wrong with Trump, and they weren't that wrong with Brexit, as has been portrayed. With Brexit, they were in the margin of error. With Trump, the media were always focusing on opinion polls, showing how Hillary would perhaps win on a nationwide level, but that doesn't matter. The US election is based on whoever takes all the different states. So therefore, I think this time we can be pretty sure that Macron is going to win.
And how do you explain his rise to power?
Well, that is quite interesting. Some people have described him as the political son of the President François Hollande. He has been a minister under Hollande. Then he sort of betrayed him. He started his own movement. You can see a lot of his voters coming actually from the Socialist Party. You can see that in the parliamentary election, according to very early polling, his party would basically virtually replace the Socialist Party. So is he really a copy-paste of the Socialist Party? That's a little bit unfair. He's probably a bit more liberal. I think all in all, he's still pretty much for the status quo. I don't think a lot will change. But to be fair, he's going a little bit in the right direction, but no major changes. For example, he wants to keep the 35-hour work week, which is really holding back France, this kind of extreme regulation of how long you can work during a week. That's not exactly a recipe to make the economy grow, obviously. And he doesn't really want to touch that, on the margins a little bit. And this is true for many other things. He's also pretty vague. Also, the thing is that if already his program is now pretty vague, what will remain of it when actually he has to make compromises?
Pieter Cleppe, thank you so much, joining us live from Portugal.